Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Nothing to Play podcast, a mediocre podcast about video games, movies, and Brendan Fraser's career. As always, it's your boy, Justin Time Carter, and we have a N2P podcast first. We got our first returning guest on the podcast, Mr. Tanner Koch.
Hey, Coach is in the building, ripping Brendan Fraser here. I still got love for the boys rocking that Doom Patrol. He's doing it.
You're like 4 Mummy movies, and they're all great.
Yeah, and a slew of great comedies from the late '90s, including one with Pauly Shore.
So how have you been since we had you on the podcast last?
Busy, just working on dumb school shit all the time, but I got like 3 weeks left of that. Had very little gaming here and there. I played Gears with you for like an hour last week. Gears 5, that is. I played a little bit of that Yu-Gi-Oh game we were talking about last time. So not a whole lot of gaming going on here. Started to watch shows a little bit more. I'm actually got the I have the primetime Emmys playing in the background right now while I record this podcast, so I could see if any hot news comes out like while
anything
we're recording.
Of notoriety pops
Nothing
up?
as of yet, man, because I'm like super behind on television this year. I have not watched a whole lot, but it also hasn't been a super impressive year for TV, I'd say.
Yeah, dude, I remember back when I had all the free time in the fucking world, back when I went to college, and that was it. I remember there was like 30 shows at a time that I'd be watching, and then now there's like maybe 3.
Yeah, it's a constant battle of like agreeing on a show to watch with the wife, so it's like it's very difficult. We'll either be watching a comedy that I've seen like 1,000 times, which I have no problem rewatching, or it's just like, you know, we have different tastes and stuff. Like, I like to watch really dark, fucked up shows, and she just pretty much likes to watch comedies. So it's hard to find like an even keel of like what we both are getting super into at the same time.
Well, that's what's funny is like, yeah, I fucking love horror movies, and Megan hates them. So it's like I'm not really allowed to like watch, and they'll scare the shit out of her where she can't sleep. So it's like I'm not allowed to watch them basically in the living room with her there. But it's funny because with the A-list thing, me and this guy Jonathan from my work, we go and see, I think most of the movies we've seen are horror movies that we go and see. And she doesn't want to be home alone while I'm gone, so she ends up coming with us to the scary movie because it's like the lesser of two evils of, do I go see the fucked up scary movie or do I stay home and be scared because I'm home alone? So she'd rather come with and watch the scary movie.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm in the same situation, but it's the reverse. Like, the wife loves horror movies, and I
You're
don't.
the one that doesn't want to go.
But it's not because my issue is, like, I cannot get scared by, like, any horror movie. Like, I just laugh at them, and I just think they're silly. But, like, if they have, like, high artistic value, I'll get into them. And luckily, we've been in, like, a major, like, horror renaissance the last few years where, like, the majority of horror movies that are coming out these days are very good. So, like, I'll be more inclined to see it, but, like, if you ask me to go see, like, the third Annabelle movie, like, I'm not coming along for that ride. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was good, though.
That's what they said about the second one. But, like, I love the main Conjuring movies. I just haven't liked any of the spin-offs. I haven't seen all of them. That kind of shit just is lame to me. But I love, like, the James Wan horror movies, like the first 2 Insidiouses and the first 2 Conjuring movies. Like, I can fuck with those, like, real good. But generally speaking, like, genre horror movies, I don't really like.
I mean, there was a point in time where I got blitzed, like, every night and watched Insidious and Paranormal Activity 2 on a regular basis.
I remember, like, one of 2 times in my life where I actually got scared watching a horror movie was actually with you, and we got super blitzed, and we went to go see the third Paranormal Activity movie. And for some reason, I think I was just the right amount of lit or something, because I, like, lost my shit watching that movie. And then, like, every time I tell people that story, they're like, the third Paranormal Activity movie? That shit is terrible. That sucks. I'm like, I don't know, man. It scared the living shit out of me when I saw it in theaters, and I don't get scared at anything. So, like, I don't know. I think I was just too lit that night, maybe.
I mean, I'd say the third one's definitely like not my favorite, but I place it in like the middle tier because yeah, originally it might have been like the worst of the trilogy, but then like 4, 5, and 6 came out, and like that shit. Once they start getting into like the witch shit and stuff, like that's when it like went downhill really fast for me.
Yeah, it's like the Saw franchise.
Oh God, like I loved. I was a huge fan. I think up to 4, maybe even 5, and then it's like after that. I mean, it was ridiculous to begin with, but then it just like went so over the top.
They always do. And they're rebooting that again right now.
I thought for sure it was gonna come out. I swear to God, I was like thinking that they were gonna like stealth like announce it for like an October, like late October
Yeah,
release.
they're in the process of filming it right now, starring Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson.
Jesus
So we'll
Christ.
see how it goes. Like, I don't know, Chris Rock is interestingly like a fairly decent filmmaker in the last few years. He's like made some indies that have been pretty good. So like I'm starting to respect him as like a filmmaker, and like I hope that whatever he has going on with this Saw reboot, that it's like something interesting.
Did you go see it Chapter 2?
Yes, yeah, it was great. Way too fucking long, but but I found it enjoyable.
All right, so I was like, we're about to talk about it Chapter 2, so spoiler warning. I don't want any bitching that you haven't been warned. Um, because I know,
Set aside 3 hours of your time and go watch it Chapter Two.
yeah,
It's
dude.
pretty good.
I was like Jonathan from my because we went with Jonathan from my work, and he wanted to go to like an 8:30 showing, like on a fucking Thursday, and I was like, dude, you realize this shit's like in game. I was like, we wouldn't be getting out of that theater until like midnight, and then I have to like wake up at 5 a.m. I'm like, dude, I'll be dead ass asleep like 40 minutes
Yeah,
into
we
that
went to
movie.
a 5 p.m. showing on premiere night because of that specific reason.
Yeah, we
Like
ended
we were
up
geared
going.
up.
We went to like a 7 o'clock showing instead, which we got out at like I think about like a little bit before 11 and stuff. So that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, man, AMC's got a real issue with like insisting on playing like a half hour worth of trailers too. So it's like it's brutal how many trailers they put in front of movies there.
And it's only in theaters for like we had to go see it that day because like the next day it was pretty much like out of the majority of the AMC theaters, which pisses me off because I'm like movies anymore are just in there for 2 weeks, and I'm like I see one movie one week and then it's like oh like if two come out that I want to see I'm like oh I'll see this week and then go see this one the next week, and it's like the one that I wanted to see the next week is pretty much out of fucking theaters.
Exactly,
So it's
yeah.
like you have to see it Wednesday because Thursday night or whatever it's like all gone.
Unless it's like a Marvel movie and it's in theaters for like 3 months. But yeah,
Yeah, or like a Disney, like The Lion King or
yeah,
Aladdin or some shit where it's like family for, but like yeah, horror movies get like a lot of the R-rated and like horror movies and
yeah.
stuff just get like
But like
real
it's
love.
like a the It movies make a fuck ton of money, so like that's not gonna leave like per se really fast. But what's going against it is its runtime. Like it's so long, you can only fit so many showings in one day of that movie. So it's
Yeah,
probably gonna go a lot faster than the first one did because of that specific reason.
but yeah, it takes up a lot of like real estate for them. But yeah, when it was funny because Troy, who was on the podcast, I don't remember which episode. It was like I think like 2 episodes
Yeah,
ago.
I think it was like 2 episodes ago.
Cause he went and saw it, and like I had asked him, I was like about because when he went and saw it, I was like, did you think it was good? Like I was like, how does it, like, is the ending the same as like the original movie? And he told me he was like, oh dude, it's like completely different from the original movie. So I was like, really? All right. And then I saw it when I saw it, I was like, it is different, but the way he made it sound like it was like some complete new thing, and then when I watched it I was like dude it is not completely different, like it's
No, it's
tweaked.
like exactly the same, but it's like you get the ridiculous spider, but the spider looks like the clown that you've been watching for the last like 5 hours through the two movies, which I
Yeah,
think
that
was a
was
good change. I like that better than just them fighting a random spider creature like at the end. So I like that change actually.
Yeah, that was like the main difference that I noticed was that it, instead of being like a spider thing and then using Pennywise as like a conduit thing to lure children into the sewers, it just was Pennywise.
Right.
So I was like, all right, like I can live with that. And then instead of using like, I don't remember what it was, like a rocks or something with a slingshot to like shoot out the deadlights, they used like the spear thing that they like stabbed Pennywise in the head with in the first movie, the piece of fence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there was a few aspects that threw me off, and like I sometimes when I'm watching movies, like I love to like notice mistakes or something, and there was this one that was bugging me that like, but the thing was I wasn't sure like for the whole movie. I'm like, did I spot something or did I not? Because what it was I spotted like a Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet in the movie, but the movie takes place in like 1989, so I'm like, that's 3 years too early for that cabinet to exist. But then when I kept thinking about it, I'm like, it must have been in the scene with Bill Hader when he went back there that I saw it, but I wasn't sure. So I was like, I know for sure that it's in there, but it was probably in there in the like adult half of the movie. So that's what I'm hoping. That when I go back and watch it again, man, that's the first thing I'm going to be looking for. Is like, at what time period did I see that Mortal Kombat cabinet machine? Because it does not belong in the '80s. That's for sure. And like the
Yeah,
beginning of the movie, man, fucked me up real hard because it was like brutal, like with that where they like beat the shit out of that gay guy or whatever. But like the thing was like it just it felt really random and like hostile to open the movie that way because it was in no way like connected to Pennywise. It was just kind of showing the shittiness of the town. But it's like, to my understanding, I always thought that Pennywise only, or the entity of it rather, like fed on children. So I was confused as to why he was like eating and attacking these like adult men, like in the river at the beginning. So that's where I
yeah,
was getting thrown off there.
yeah. That is like a good quote. But yeah, that scene you're talking about, dude, I was like squirming in my chair. I was like really, I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, right? I was just like, and it just kept going on, and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah, and
like,
it kept on, and then I'm like, wait, like it is not going to come into this like at all. This is just a horrific like scene from real life that happens all the time.
yeah, I thought like the like dad and daughter scenes were like uncomfortable, and then this scene came along, and I was like, dude, I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now?
Yeah, but I mean, I'll take like excitable horror. The strange thing is like there's like no horror movies coming out in October this year. Like it's pretty wild. Like the closest thing we're getting is like October 4th. We're getting Joker, which is definitely not a horror movie, but it's like I guess the darkest movie that's coming out in October. It's just a very strange release schedule this year as far as like taking advantage of the Halloween season. I don't get it.
Um, isn't because I know there was a couple trailers for horror movies. I like there was the one where it's like the app or whatever that tells you when you're gonna die, some like Black Mirror kind of shit.
I have not seen that. I did see one for yet another remake of Black Christmas that comes out in like
Oh,
December.
I don't think that's even like is that a remake? I mean, I know there is a horror movie called Black Christmas, but it's like about that yellow skinned dude who like lives in a closet and makes angel cookies out of people's skin and
I
shit.
don't think it's a coincidence. It's like it was a slasher pick in like the 70s and then they remade it like
Mm.
12 years ago or something, and then I saw yet another thing with that exact same title. So I'm like, I don't think it would be a coincidence that there would be three movies with the same name and the same general theme and concept. So I don't know. I'm assuming it's a remake, but I get what you're saying because it did seem quite a bit different with this new one.
I know.
It was
That's
that.
like
Oh,
when I
that's
saw
right.
this.
It's like the sorority girls thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and like they're being hunted or whatever. And that was my thing when I saw the title Black Christmas. I was like, you really couldn't name it? Come up with another name that's like a horror movie like around Christmas that hasn't been used already. You have to like reuse the same name. But
Um,
if it's a remake, that would make sense.
there's like a indie movie called The Lighthouse that I want to see that comes out with like Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and I think that looks freaky. Like I'm
Yeah,
looking
where
forward
it's
to
all
that.
like black and gray and it's all kind of
Yeah, it's
squared
in like a
in
four
and
by
stuff.
three format. It's like they shot it on Super 16. Yeah, that movie looks like a trip. but
Yeah,
it's
that's
also
like
from the same guy who made the Witch, so I won't get too hype.
yeah. I was like, as soon as I saw like how it was all squared in and it was like black and white and stuff, I was like, dude, Tanner's gonna jizz his pants over this.
I've heard
It's
so many people say that to me.
it's
I'm
artsy
like,
as
am I
fuck.
that big of a douchebag? Like, if there's a different aspect ratio and a color scheme on a movie, they're like, oh, Tanner's gonna go jerk off to this movie because
You're
it's like
like they're like, I
art.
know a pretentious fuck that's gonna love this.
I'll take it. I'll be that guy.
But but yeah, for it chapter, the only other thing when I watched it, I thought it was good. The only other thing that I was kind of disappointed that they didn't show or whatever, that they like kind of like alluded to it, but they didn't really show it, was when I thought it was cool that he went into the pawn store and got his bike back, and Stephen King
Right? Yeah,
was
yeah,
the guy at the pawn store. That was really cool, and I like that they kind of made fun of the fact that the one dude, all his endings suck or whatever, which is like what
yeah.
people harp on for Stephen King all the time. But when he said that his bike could like outrun the devil and stuff. I remember in the original movie there was the scene where it was this during the summer when they were all separated. Pennywise was chasing him or whatever, and that was the whole thing, was on his bike he was able to like outrun Pennywise or whatever, so he outran the devil. And he said that during the thing, but then I was like, oh cool, then when they show the summer flashback thing, they'll show that, and they never did. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, they just showed him like more with like Georgie and like the sewer thing, and like the little kid that like wasn't any part of anything in the original movie. I was like, why is this even like a part of this? Like,
And then book fans are like, and we still didn't get a child orgy to watch. We still didn't get any mystical turtles that solved the mystery of what to do. There was some weird shit though, like that voodoo like Native American stuff that they were doing was pretty wild.
yeah,
Like,
that was new. That I was like, I didn't like
I think that was
mind
their
that.
alternative to the mystical turtle that they speak to in the novel.
Yeah,
Stephen King
so
shit, man.
I guess when you're like all hopped up on cocaine and just sitting at that typewriter clicking away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to if you're writing like 3 books a year for like 40 plus years.
That is true. What else? I know we're gonna go see. They're bringing The Shining back
Oh,
in
right,
like
Doctor Sleep.
4K. Yeah, before Doctor Sleep and stuff. I think
Oh,
it's
the
like
literal Shining. You're gonna go watch the
yeah,
original. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. They're bringing the 4K remastered to theaters for like a limited time or whatever in like early October, I think, so that people can see it before Doctor Sleep.
That's sick. You know, you make fun of me for being a huge film snob, but you know what's really hilarious is I actually never saw The Shining until like a year ago. Like, I tried to watch it when I was younger, but I got like 20 minutes into it and I was like, I'm too bored. I'm gonna shut this off.
Well,
But
it
then
is
I'm like,
that is also like a very long, like 2.5 hour movie.
yeah, exactly. But I ended up enjoying the hell out of it. It's just like Kubrick movies are usually pretty hit or miss for me. Like I never got into A Clockwork Orange, and I never really liked. I like the first like 30 minutes of Full Metal Jacket, and then when it becomes a war movie, I don't really like it. But yeah, but he's got some good ones. You know, Space Odyssey, all that jazz. But yeah, I did finally get around to watching The Shining, and I did think it was very, very good. So I'm looking forward to hopefully the new movie can at least be decent. I feel like they showed too much in the new trailer, but that's fine.
I was like, I don't think I saw the new. I think I've only seen the first trailer.
Stick to it if you can, because they show you quite a bit in the new trailer that would have been exciting to see, like for the first time in the theater.
I
Uh,
feel like they do that for a lot of movies. Like, I don't need like trailer number 3, final whatever trailer. I'm like, I don't need 4 fucking trailers for me.
exactly.
If your movie doesn't pull me in the first trailer, I'm like, quit showing me shit. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, everybody wants to be J.J. Abrams, but it's not happening. Uh, yeah, they show way too much in trailers. In fact, like the thing that I told you I'm watching the Emmys in the background right now, and they're like do like the showcases for like each show that's like up for like best whatever, and they were doing this one for like Game of Thrones, which why is Game of Thrones up for best drama series this year of all years? But but also like they just were showing clips, but they literally showed like everything from the finale like in quick succession or whatever. So if you're just like a random person like watching the Emmys and you haven't gotten caught up to Game of Thrones, you literally just saw everything that happened in that show. But yeah, trailers are brutal. They show way too much most of the time. So I try as hard as I can to not watch anything past the second trailer because that's usually all like a lot of times like you were just saying, but like a lot of times the first trailer won't hook me because it's like too early in the filmmaking process. So like they don't have enough footage to put out there, especially for like big budget movies because there's so much effects and stuff that go into it. They just literally can't submit any footage. But if you don't capture me by like the second trailer, then I'm done with you. But if you do catch me on the second trailer, then I'm going to avert my eyes from like anything else that you're trying to show me for the next several months.
Dude, that's funny because like when we went and saw it during the trailers, I don't know if it was one of the trailers for you or not, but there was one, I can't even remember what the fuck it was called, but the trailer was like 30 seconds and it was like really quick. It was like a new type of hero, like and it just showed like three different shots of like this one dude,
Oh, it
and
was
then I
the
can't.
new Christopher Nolan film. Is yeah, the Tenet.
But
Yeah,
it's like not coming out till it was like March 2020 or something. I was like, why the fuck are you showing me a
well,
trailer for
clearly
this
you
now
missed the
when it doesn't
big
come
part of
out?
the trailer. Yeah, I agree with you, but the reason that they do that, and they do this with all of his films, is because a Christopher Nolan film is a huge event. So
Well,
they
I know, but
and they
I'm
do this
like,
every time. Like with Interstellar, they released some bullshit trailer that meant nothing a year in advance. They did the same thing with his last movie Dunkirk, and it's just like they show you nothing, and it's like a year in advance, but it's just totally to let you know, hey, in a year's time, guys, next July, you'll see yet another masterpiece from the great Christopher Nolan.
dude, it took me forever to watch. Like, I didn't watch Interstellar for the longest time, and then it was like on my hard drive or something, and then like one night, like finally, like Megan was like, "You want to watch this or whatever?" And I was like, "Okay." And then we watched it, and I was like, "God damn, this is a great movie." I almost
It's
like
nuts.
regretted
It's
not
it's
watching it
loco.
sooner.
It's very good though. Yeah, and it's very long, but I understand why a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's brilliant. I think it's dope.
No, I thought it was really good, and I was like, it was way like, you know, because I don't even know if I ever even watched like a trailer for it, or if I did, it didn't show anything compared to like how trippy it fucking was. And by the end of it, I was just like, it was one of those where it's like, after you watch it, like the next day or two, you're just thinking about it, and you're
Yeah.
like, dude, that fucking sucked so bad for him. Like,
Yeah, and I'm glad that it came out before The Martian because I would have lost my shit if like The Martian beat him to it. But we got two movies within a year where Matt Damon is stranded on a planet by himself. So you remember Matt Damon, the villain in that movie? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, the
like
fucking asshole.
yeah, and then fucking they released The Martian, and he's like growing turnips and shit on, which I thought The Martian was
Yeah.
good.
And
I wouldn't
literally in
say,
shit. Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't say it was better than Interstellar, but it was
no,
still like a decent watch.
yeah, they're two extremes, but yeah, they're both quite good. But yeah, Interstellar was great. Did you ever see Dunkirk? Like that's a very not Christopher Nolan movie, but like I still think it was pretty dope.
I know the name, but I definitely haven't seen it.
It's like the Battle of Dunkirk in World War II, like at Normandy and shit, or at Dunkirk rather, but like the same concept. But but it's like 80 something minutes long, and as opposed to like Interstellar, which is like 3 hours long. So it's like his shortest movie. It's like really fast cuts. There's almost no dialogue. It's just like pure war, like and you see it from different angles. So it's like Tom Hardy's like a fighter pilot in the sky, like shooting people down, and then like one of the guys from One Direction and like this other guy, the guy
What the
from
fuck?
the Black Mirror Bandersnatch. They're like the two soldiers on the ground, like getting blown up and shit. And then you have like the civilians that are like trying to save people with their boats and stuff in the harbor. But there's like almost no dialogue, and it's just pure intensity because they have like a ticking clock playing the whole time during the movie to like amplify the intensity like in your chest, and you just don't notice it unless you like study sound and stuff, but you'll realize that the sound is like just making your heart thump like throughout the whole movie because of what's going on. It's just like a tactic that like works like gangbusters. Not the most interesting movie of his like repertoire, but definitely another masterpiece in my opinion.
Did you ever watch Annihilation?
Yeah, I thought Annihilation was really good. I don't remember much about it. I saw it in theaters, but that's good sci-fi. That's from the same guy who made Ex Machina, so I was looking forward to it, and it was trippy. I liked it quite a bit.
That's what's funny because I was not a fan of it like at all.
Oh, now that I think about it, I do recall the very ending, and it was bonkers. But
Yeah, it was like weird. Like I mean, it wasn't. I didn't watch like anything. I'd heard it was really good and it was like really good sci-fi and people were like praising it and stuff on Facebook and stuff. So I was like, all right, I'll totally like give this a shot. And like me, Megan, and like someone else, we all like watched it and we're like sitting there and like yeah, the entire like last like half hour of the movie or whatever. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And Megan was like freaked out by like the faceless, weird metal looking fucking thing like and I was just like
yeah, I love the
oh my
monsters in that movie. They were trippy. But
like the world and stuff like inside the thing was like really cool and trippy and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just I don't know. I guess it just wasn't kind of what I was expecting, so it just like put me off like really hard towards the end.
yeah, and that's based off of like a book trilogy, but obviously we won't be receiving the sequels. The movie did
Yeah.
not do well at all. It bombed pretty bad. But
Dude, that's like did you ever watch it was a show Wayward Pines?
it sounds familiar, but I didn't watch it.
Like it was like two seasons. Like the first season
Is that
was
the M Night Shyamalan show with like
uh
Matt Dillon?
Shyamalan. Like it's about this like police officer dude or whatever and he ends up waking up in Wayward Pines and it's like he can't leave and he thinks like it's like this old kind of like town and stuff like he like wakes up and then like this like person or whatever like his partner or something that like went missing like 5 years ago or like something is there and he's like trying to figure out like what the fuck's going on in the town and it's like kind of like the village like it's like kind of like not as old like the town's not set up like as old timey as the village but it's kind of like
Right.
the town it's like in like the past sort of stuff and then you end up like finding out that he thinks it's like the past or like something but you end up he finds like money on the ground and it's like actually the future and everyone who's in Wayward Pines was like chronologically like they were frozen like cryo frozen
Oh
and like
shit.
brought into and there's actually like these mutated like things like outside so the town's blocked off and that's why like nobody can leave and it's not that they like necessarily want them to leave but they don't want what's out there to come in
Right.
and shit and it's based off a book series and season 1 was really good but it basically covered they basically combined like pretty much all three of the books or whatever together in that like one season
Right.
and then it was so successful it was kind of like the True Detective thing where when it's supposed to just be one story but then it does so good they're like okay we want another season and they're like well it was only supposed to be like a one shot thing so then they did this whole second season that had like none of the book to go off of anymore and it fucking tanked like halfway through the season because like all the characters were shit now because they didn't have any material to go off of. The story didn't make any sense because it was already wrapped up in the first season. So,
Sounds like the last two seasons of Game of Thrones. But yeah,
oof,
I just looked it up
shots
and
fired.
I just looked it up and that show was from M Night Shyamalan.
Okay,
And
that
yeah,
kind of makes sense then.
which would I explain? I guess that it's a little bit like The Village, so I guess that would make sense. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's what they did with The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. Like it was like a classic novel that they adapted, but it was so popular. They're like, we're gonna make this shit go forever and ever, and it's just like torturous television because that's just an abysmally depressing thing to watch and or read. And now they're just trying to expand it into like a five
I mean,
season
they've done
show.
it with like a lot of things. Oh, sorry.
No, no, no.
Like
Go ahead. Yeah.
the the Google Hangouts call like glitched, so like I wasn't
We
sure
were both
if it.
waiting for each
I
other to respond.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't tell if it was just gonna be dead air or not, so I just started talking to make sure. I didn't realize. Then when it came back,
Yeah,
or
but
it was like, oh shit, Tanner's in the middle of talking.
no, but the Handmaid's Tale is just brutal, and I don't know how or why they keep making that show go on and on. But it's like that's too dark a subject matter. I don't like it. One
But
season
that's
would
like
have been good.
they did like the same shit with like Eastbound and Down and stuff, where it was just supposed to be 3 seasons, and then HBO's like, no, we get 4 more, so they're like, shit, okay, so I guess we're gonna that ending we did, we're gonna have to completely like 180 it
Yeah,
and pull it back.
I loved Eastbound and Down though. I'm not complaining.
Well, it's true. Even season 4, like, which of course is like probably the weakest season of the four, is still a better season than like most seasons of almost anything else.
That's true. And it's like, like Breaking Bad was the greatest thing ever. And it was like, it's sacred. You can't touch it. But then Better Call Saul is fucking amazing too. So, like, I don't have a problem with it. And now we've got a movie coming out, like a
Dude,
sequel to the show.
in like 2 weeks. Like, are you
Yeah, man.
excited for it?
Yeah, I've literally got digital reminders on my phone to tell me on the day of to ensure that I don't do anything else once I get off work. Just come home and watch El Camino, a Breaking Bad film.
I saw like the Almino Draft House and shit are actually like showing it in like a
Yeah,
theater. But like when I looked at like tickets like for the one, because there's like 2 showings, like one at like 10 at night or some shit, and the other one's at like 5. And when I looked up like for the like 5 or like whatever showing, like it was fucking like the theater was almost like all the good seats were pretty much gone already.
normally I'd
And
be
I'm like,
like super into something like that, especially like from Vince Gilligan and that show, and everything is shot so gorgeously and whatnot on film. But I don't know. It's like I've always watched it on a television medium, so it's not like important to me to go see it on a big screen. You know what I mean? And also, like, it's going to be readily available to us the second we get home from work. So it's like I don't have to deal with the hassle of going to a screening somewhere and getting seats and shit. Like, it's free. I'm just going to watch it when I get home.
and coupled with the fact that you have a bladder of a fucking cat.
It's true, man. That's like one of the biggest rags about me going to the movies these days. But me having to pee all the time isn't even the biggest issue. Me just falling asleep during like everything that I go see is the biggest issue. Like,
Dude, when we went and saw it chapter 2, they had I usually always get an icy when I go to the theaters, and they had a like black cherry flavor that was like legit black, and it was like the Adams Family like special flavor, and it was so good. But then literally like the next day, my shit was like Christmas green, and like the
yes, I
water,
was
everything, and
expecting
I was
black.
like,
Yeah, that's
that's what I
funny.
was thinking, but I was like, something like reacted horribly in my stomach after drinking it. And I
Dude, I
was like,
believe
oh
it.
god. I was like, I probably shaved like 4 years off my life drinking that, but it was worth it.
No, man, I get too relaxed. It's like 7 o'clock at night, and I've been like working all day, and I got up at like 5, and so then it's dark. You've got recliners. It's like air conditioned and shit. So like it's so fucking hard for me to stay awake during a movie at the theaters these days, unless I see it like before 6 o'clock. If I see it before 6 o'clock, I'm golden. But if it's at nighttime, man, more than likely I'm gonna doze off for a little bit during it. It's a damn shame. Yeah, I don't even care about having to pee the whole time. I'm just struggling to keep my eyes open most of the time. And it'll be a movie that like I love. Like I know you didn't like it, but I like really really loved Us, and I like slept through like 10, 15 minutes of that movie.
Like, I didn't hate the movie. It's just, I don't know. Like, I liked parts of it. It's just, I guess it just wasn't. Like I said I think maybe I was just too stupid to understand it.
That's how I know that I really gotta love it because like I legitimately missed like 10, 12% of the movie and I still thought it was fantastic. Like and it was like straight up in the middle of it when shit was hitting the fan and I'm dozing off. I'm like, ah, I missed it. But like, I don't know. That's how I set the bar. If I can fall asleep through a portion of something but still ended up enjoying the hell out of it, then it must have been pretty good.
That's true. So I know you told me a little bit about it, like what last week, maybe earlier this week. But what do you think of the new Yu-Gi-Oh game that came out on the Switch? Dual Destinies? Is that what it's called?
I believe so, like
Destiny of the
GX or
Duelist?
something. Because what it is, apparently, it's a game that's been out for a couple of years on other consoles, and they just ported it, which I wasn't aware of. And I haven't played any form of Yu-Gi-Oh in a very, very long time. So how it works is like there's a regular story mode, online mode, what have you, and they have every generation of Yu-Gi-Oh, GX, XYZ, whatever the fuck all those different ones are that they have. I'm
XYZ.
legitimately only familiar with like OG Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know how any of those things work. So like I'm doing the story mode, and it's legitimately like every single duel in the history of the television series is on there, and they go through the entire series of the show, um, and you play all of them. Like even if it's like some bullshit duel between like Joey and like some bug dude or like Taya or something, like it's just like
Weevil.
yeah, exactly. Uh, doesn't matter what it is. If it was on the show, you're playing it. But they give you the option for every duel to either use the character deck who you're playing as, or you can use your own deck that you build. So that's cool, and I always use my own because I don't want to use Yugi's trash deck that has like monsters with like 800 attack. I'm like, why do you have this in here? This is garbage. So like, I'll only most of the time I'll only use my own deck, but it's also a problem because then I just smash them like really fast, like all the time. Within like 3 rounds, they're dead and out of life points. So it's like I need a challenge here. It's too easy. And if once you defeat anybody that you're dueling in the story mode, you get to keep their top card and like two other like popular cards of theirs. So like you get everything. So like I'm at the very end of the main Yu-Gi-Oh campaign, like the OG show. So I have like all the Egyptian god cards and like everything. They literally just give them to you for playing the game. So like I've got a lot of dope shit. It, there's a lot of options.
um, One thing I know I had asked you before about if you could enter the card numbers and get the cards, which I think I researched it and you couldn't do that.
Yeah, I looked
But
for it because I also had that game on the GBA when I was a kid, and it was my favorite aspect. And so, like, I also was hoping that that would be a part of this one, but it's not, unfortunately.
so then my other question is, you might know, if since you are going through the story, like you're going through like the Duelist Island and stuff, and you get to choose between say like Yugi's like deck that he used like in the show and stuff. Is there an option to actually play it with Duelist Island rules where you can just like play Dark Magician without sacrificing it, and you guys have like 2,000 life points and shit,
Um,
or is it just the straight up like 8,000 life points? Like you still have to
oh, I
fight
see what you're saying. I
monsters.
was confused for a sec. I guess it's been too long since I've seen the show because I didn't know what you were talking about. But no, it's just I don't know if you can change the setting, but it's just a straight up 8,000 life point regular Yu-Gi-Oh matches.
Yeah, okay, because like in season one of Yu-Gi-Oh, in the Duelist Island rules, like Kaiba could just play like Blue Eyes turn one, no sacrifices, and there's 2,000 life points. And then in Battle City, they like bumped it up to 4,000 life points, but then now they had to actually like tribute for cards and actually play by the rules.
Oh, I don't remember that like at all. But also the majority of what I remember from that show was like when they were leading up to Pegasus and then like the Egyptian god shit. It's pretty much most of my memory from that series. But yeah, that sounds lame. I'll take the regular Yu-Gi-Oh rules.
Dude, so you've only ever seen you haven't seen GX or 5Ds or
No, I have
uh
no idea what any of those are about.
dude, so I watched the original. I watched I'd say most of GX, and then I never watched any of the other ones after that until It was Yu-Gi-Oh! V-Reigns, which is the newest one, and dude, the fucking plot for V-Reigns is so over the. It's like so over the top. Like I watched the first 50 episodes of the anime, and it's like one of those where you just can't help but laugh because like the main character, the whole thing is like they're basically like for dueling and stuff, you like don't even duel in real life anymore. You do it on the internet.
Oh,
Like you jack into this like virtual world called V-Reigns, and the whole premise is there's this like virtual plaza, internet, whatever world plaza, and people duel each other. So there's like normal sort of dueling where it's kind of like the five cards, whatever. But then there's speed dueling, which is kind of how like the Duel Links game kind of is, where it's like you have three monster card zones and three magic card zones and stuff instead of the five and five and stuff. But the way they speed duel is they duel on surfboards, and they're surfing on like internet, like it's just internet shit that they're like riding on. And yeah, it's so. And the main character's name is Playmaker.
stop it.
And yeah, the main character's name is Playmaker, and he's like, no one knows who he is, and he's like a fucking like legend, and everyone's like, oh shit, Playmaker's dueling, and it's like all over, like streaming into the real world, and people like standing in the middle of the streets watching Playmaker duel and shit. And the the villains is the group is called the Knights of Hanoi, and they're these like hacker people who are trying to like Fight Club style like destroy V-Reigns. Like they just want to like destroy the internet and like bring the world back. They're gonna
Project
like
Mayhem. We're making
whole
soap and we're
yeah,
destroying the internet.
their whole plan is to basically in V-Reigns set off this like giant like bomb thing or whatever that like will nuke all the electronics not only in V-Reigns but like in the real world as well, and just bring the world back to like a time before and just shut everything down. And the leader of the Knights of Hanoi, his name's fucking Revolver. And he wears this weird mask and has like these like dangly like almost like gun shell fucking earrings.
Has this been dubbed or is it only for Japanese audiences?
As far as I know, I watched it in Japanese. I haven't seen it in English, but like it's so good. Like the first, like it's just laughing the entire time because it's just so fucking stupid, but it's just so good,
Man, I wonder if
and I
that
love
shit's
it.
in this game and I didn't even notice.
Yeah, yeah, I know it is because, like you said, it was this game's like a remake or whatever. It was originally. I remember it being on like the 360 and stuff. And when I watched like a review for it, they as the new shows came out, they released DLC and stuff for it to like add the new characters and cards and shit like that. Where this Switch one is like the culmination of all of that. So it has everything from the original all the way up to now, which is the V Reigns, where there's like Link summoning, and it has I saw it has Playmaker. Like Playmaker, I think is on the cover with Yugi and stuff. He's the one. He has like yellow, like crazy hair and like
Oh,
pink and
okay.
shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's Playmaker. And his whole thing too in the show, the dual disc thing is like the cards are all digital in the game, but Playmaker still has one of the OG dual discs with real cards, and people think that's like so like oh he's like such a hipster because he has like old school like real cards. And one of his abilities in the game, because everyone when they duel they have skills
Mm.
when they're in V Reigns, and his skill is I can't remember what it's called, but he reaches into this internet tornado hurricane, and he like holds his hand out and it's all like intense, and from the internet he rips a fucking card like out of nowhere and he gets it, and then he's like some crazy hacker like high schooler kid, and then he like sits there and converts the digital card into a physical card to add to his real deck.
Oh my god.
Like he
This
like
is
digitally
insane.
like 3D prints the card in this like hot dog hacker van thing that him and like his friend ride around in.
They have
It's
got
so
to port this over
fucking
to America. Like this needs to
yeah,
happen.
it's so good. I'm like, man, I'm like originally you're just dueling for your grandpa's soul and shit, and then now you're like trying to stop Project Mayhem from fucking nuking the internet.
I can't believe that. That is absolutely ludicrous. Looks like
But
John Oliver just won an Emmy for a talk show. That's cool.
woo!
I love me some Last Week Tonight. It's my favorite show.
I've only ever seen some clips of it, but I really liked what I watched and stuff.
Yeah,
It was
it's like
entertaining.
it's event television for me. I watch it every Sunday night. Like I'm ready, like at 9 o'clock. Before I go to sleep, I gotta get that episode in, and then I'll go to sleep. I love it.
I also picked up because Friday a lot of shit came out. I mean, Link's Awakening came out,
Right.
the remaster of Ni no Kuni came out, and Untitled Goose Game came out, which I picked up that one.
I'm not surprised. I want to talk about hipster, you know pompousness. You, Mister Indie Game guy, like, oh, I'm gonna
It's
play
good.
this Untitled Duck Game or Goose Game or what is it?
Untitled. It's Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, okay. I saw an article about it, but I didn't look any further into it. Is it
Yeah, it's
fun?
pretty
Do
good. You
you
just
like it?
I do. I've only got to play a little bit of it, but Megan's been playing it too. And you basically play as this asshole goose, and you go around and you kind of have a list of like shit you need to do and stuff. Which a lot of it is like you need to like steal this dude's hat, and you need to like sit there and like make a picnic, and it's like you need to collect these items and put them on a like picnic blanket and stuff. And so it's just you like walking around in this like kind of park environment, and you're like honking at people and scaring, like running around snatching shit out of their hands and running away. And like one of the funnest things to do is just like steal shit from people, and then you just run into like the lake or something and just fucking chuck the shit in the lake, and then they have to like trudge through the lake to try and get it out and shit. Like
Okay, that
it's
actually
just
does sound great. That sounds awesome.
yeah, it's fun, and you just honk. Like there's this one part where you have to like trap this kid in a phone booth, and so he has like a little glass, and you like honk and just scare the shit out of him, and just chase him into this phone booth, and he like locks himself in the phone booth, and is like calling someone to like try and help get him out. And he like is wearing glasses, and like when you like take something from his hand and drop it on the ground, and then when he bends over to try and pick it up, you can like take the glasses off his face and run away.
Oh
And then he's like
yes, that's
fucking
awesome.
he's like Velma on the ground trying to find his glasses.
I'm definitely gonna check this out. That sounds awesome. I just wasn't aware of well, one, yeah, speaking of Link's Awakening, like I cannot believe that's like a full $60 game. Like I can believe it, but at the same time it's like shit, man. That was like the first game I had on my Game Boy. Like I was playing that when I was like 7. Like I don't want to drop 60 bones to play the same game, just prettier. I don't know. It,
Yeah,
it's
it's like one of
Nintendo
those.
though, so it's never gonna drop in price, so you might as well just pay it up.
Well, and it's like at least I'll give it to them in the sense that it is a remake of Link's Awakening, but it's not necessarily like an HD port or anything like that. Like it's straight up like a new game. It's just it is Link's Awakening just rebuilt
Right, yeah,
basically.
yeah. And then Borderlands 3 came out the week before that.
Yeah, I need to get Borderlands, but at the same time, there's still like so much Gears. Like I really haven't even played Gears that much. We played that one night, and then after you hopped off, me and Megan went and played like with some more people online and went through the wave and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And that was literally the last time I've played it
Damn.
since I've just been so busy.
Yeah, I'm halting on purchasing any of these games until I'm done with school in 3 weeks, and then I can have a life again. So I'm waiting for that. Counting down.
Yeah, it's like I really want to get Borderlands, but at the same time, it's like by the time I actually would get to play it, it's like I might as well wait, and I can guarantee
It'll
Black
be
Friday
much cheaper. Yeah.
it's gonna be like $35 like on Black Friday.
Yeah, and also for me, like with Borderlands, like I played both of the first two games, but it's like I drop like 30 hours into them and then just get bored and just not play it, and I never finish them. So like I'm just worried
Oh
I'm going to be in the
man.
same boat. But the plan is for the new one that I'm going to actually play with people instead of playing by myself. So we'll see if it
Yeah,
works playing with people.
I was like me and Megan played both the second one and the pre-sequel, which was the third one together. And dude, we like probably I don't know, invested probably like 200 hours in the second one.
Damn, that's
And then
impressive.
yeah, with like we did like all the DLC and stuff, which the DLC for 2 is just so good. And yeah, we would play with people online sometimes and stuff. And then the pre-sequel was okay, but we didn't play it. I didn't like it as much as 2, so we didn't invest at nearly as much time in that as we did 2.
I recently picked up the VR version of Borderlands 2, and it's pretty nifty. It's like exactly the same game, but they like really soften the combat because it's just like they're coming at you way too fast for you to be able to do it in VR. So they like dumb down the action aspect a little bit, so it's just easier for you to shoot and not get mauled all the time. But
Dude,
it's
that
the
sounds
exact same
trippy
story.
as
It's
fuck.
very trippy. You're legitimately in the cell shaded world of Borderlands, and you've got Claptrap like right next to you. It's freaky. I
Oh
love that
man.
shit though, man. I love VR.
I know. I still really want to play Super Hot in VR or Beat Saber. I would really like to do either one or
Come
the
over
other.
anytime. They're both fantastic, but especially Super Hot. It's like literally the go to that I use every time somebody comes over and wants to check out the VR for the first time. I'm like, we're playing Super Hot then, because it's literally the best thing that represents how the world of VR works. It's incredible.
Well, and it's just nice because it's like almost kind of move at your own pace. So it's not like even for
Literally, yeah.
people who
Like it
don't
doesn't move
really.
unless you move.
Yeah, I mean everything moves like bullets and stuff. Like move like even when you're not moving, they move a little bit. It's just really slow. But yeah, like it. Even if you don't play games a lot, that's like a pretty good. Like that's something I would recommend to someone
Yeah, I
because
watched my dad doing Super Hot VR for like 40 minutes once, and he was getting a kick out of it at like 67 years old. So I was like, yeah, man, because it's like every boy's dream to do bullet time. Like, so, like, it's fulfilled when you play that game.
oh man, yeah. I was like, what else have I been playing? Cause like I played that, and yeah, I am gonna end up dropping the 60 on Link's Awakening. I'm probably gonna get it like next paycheck, which is like right before, so that I can like play it on the plane and stuff for Indiecade. But
Yeah.
I really wanted to do the vouchers for it because I was gonna get it and Luigi's Mansion 3 for like the $100 or whatever, which wouldn't be that bad because then it's basically like $10 off each of them.
What is
But
this?
they
Is this like some deal going on?
well, they had announced it before. It was, I guess it was only for a limited time, but they had the Nintendo vouchers that you could do if you were Nintendo Online subscriber. You could do. They would give you two vouchers for $100, and they had like a select list of games
Oh, okay. I think I
that you
looked at
could.
it, but I was like, I don't know. I try to, if I can get them on cartridge, I'll prefer it that way because you can save so much memory by doing that.
Yeah, cause I did it before, and I got Mario Maker 2, and what was the other one that I got? It wasn't Odyssey. It was Fire Emblem.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah, yeah.
got Fire Emblem and Mario Maker 2 with my vouchers. And then I wanted to do it again for Link's Awakening and Luigi's Mansion, and then I was going to do it again for fucking just get like I don't know both of the Pokemon games or something. But the limited time thing ended. So it like ended in like end of July or something like that. So I was like, fuck, I didn't get the chance to buy them again.
Fantastic. It's okay. It's only $10. Like, well, like
Well,
I
yeah,
guess
it's like I'm
20.
still gonna get,
But it's
but
like
yeah, it's
I
like
think it was just a matter of like, oh, Nintendo, you want me to lay down all this money on you months in advance and then I can get it? I don't know. I was just being an asshole, I guess.
well, it's just one of those things too where, I mean, for like any other company like Sony or Xbox or something, like I wouldn't say that that's like an insane deal or anything, but since none of Nintendo's first party games ever go on sale, like even just getting the $10 off, like that's about as good a deal, especially on brand new games like Fire Emblem and like Mario Maker and
Yeah,
stuff.
you're
Like
totally right
that's as
because
good as
yeah,
it's
they
gonna
do not
get,
lose their value, and Nintendo will not give you a discount ever until it's like
dude.
5 years old, maybe if it's sold like 3 million copies and nobody else is going to buy it now. Then they'll lower the price.
Dude, we went to Desert Sky Games out in Chandler, I think it is. And they have like they sell magic cards and stuff, and they sell like old video games and stuff like that. And I bought some magic cards, and while the dude was getting my cards, I was walking around checking out the games and stuff. And I was looking in the GameCube section of the games and like yeah, for fucking like Thousand Year Door, they wanted like $65. And I'm like, I still have. I mean, I have Thousand Year Door, the original one too. That was just for the greatest hits one too. That wasn't even like the initial release of
Right?
it.
No,
I'm
no, no.
like,
G copy.
and like Pikmin and stuff was like $40. Like hell, I remember when GameStop was gonna stop carrying GameCube games and stuff, so they were trying to get rid of like all their inventory of GameCube games, and that's when I bought Double Dash, and I bought Double Dash for $40, and this is like when like fucking like the Wii or Wii U was out at this point, like GameCube was long gone. It's like Double Dash was still almost as much as it was brand new, and it
Yeah.
was used.
It's absurd, but it's good. They're great quality games and they're collector's items, so it makes sense. And I wish I had the brains to realize that when I was younger, because I had so much Nintendo shit for so long, and now like so much of it is gone. And then eventually later on, I went back and repurchased a lot of the things that I got rid of when I was a dumb kid. So maybe it's a good thing that GameStop's going to go out of business because they won't be raping generations of children for years to come for the 10% value of what they spent on the things.
Well, and it's like funny because I think the reason why they're so high too is just because like there's no for like Xbox and like PlayStation stuff, like a lot of even their like older PS1 games, stuff like that, like you can buy Final Fantasy 7 on everything like digitally, you can buy whatever, but it's like you can't get Thousand Year Door on the eShop, you can't get N64 games anymore like on the eShop. So it's like if you didn't get to buy a physical version of it, it's like unless you get a ROM or something, it's like you're not playing it.
Exactly. So it's like, and there's no reason why they can't port those things over to the Switch. We'll buy them. Please do. We will buy them.
Dude, that's like at Bookman's and stuff. They have like the Pokemon games do not go down in price either. Like at Bookman's, they had Pokemon like Diamond, and it was like straight up $40, which is how much it is new. And
Yeah,
it's used.
exactly. For a system that's been out of rotation for like 12 years. Good on you, Nintendo, for like having value in your product. Like, that's cool.
Right. Oh, man. It's like I remember when I worked at Target too. Some dude was trying to buy my copy of Melee off me, and he's like, "Dude, he's like, I will straight up give you like $70 cash for Melee," and I was like, "Nah." Because I'm like, dude, I'm like, if you're just offering me 70, I was like, I know that shit's like obviously expensive as fuck on Amazon. If you're willing to offer me 70, you could probably get like 80, $90 for a good like unscratched up to shit fucking
Yeah,
Melee
man.
disc.
People love their retro shit, which is like funny because it's like, I mean, the most recent Smash is like the ultimate Smash. Like, why would you ever go back and play the old ones at this point? Like, when you have everything at your disposal.
I don't know. I guess it's like I know there's like still people that play like fucking Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and like
Which is the best
Tekken
of the series,
3
so I
and
understand it. Like, I mean, I
dude,
would take Marvel vs. Capcom 2 over any of the other games in the franchise, which I do think Ultimate 3 is pretty good, but the last one they came out with was atrocious. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was bad.
dude, I remember when they brought Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to the Xbox 360 arcade, and I played against Derek, who is Mr. Achievement Points himself, fighting game Halo extraordinaire. And I don't play fighting games a lot. Like Smash Brothers is probably like one of the few that I play, but I'm not even like amazing at it or anything. And Derek was like, "Oh, dude, you want to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2?" And I was like, "Okay." And I picked. I guess if you played online with someone, you can only pick one of each person. But I guess just playing like couch co-op PvP. You can pick in a team of whatever you want. So I picked all three Juggernauts, and we were just fighting. I just kept Juggernaut assisting, and I was just beating down Derek. And he got so pissed off and just like raged on me. And he's like, "Yeah, well, if we were playing online, you couldn't do that." And I was like, "Yeah, but we're not." And then he got all fucking uppity with me, and he's like, "Okay, fine." He's like, "Pick your all Juggernaut team again." And I was like, "Okay, like I don't give a shit." And he picked like Cable, Iron Man, and like someone else. I don't remember
Oh,
what.
so like all
And
long range attacks.
well, he picked them, and it's like I guess they do some crazy combo all together that he knew about or whatever. So I'm playing as Juggernaut, and then he did some like triple team whatever fucking wreck my shit combo on me to like put me in my place. And I was
I'll
like,
show you
you
how to
realize,
break the system.
yeah, I was like, you realize I don't give fucking two shits about this, right? Like, I mean, if it's gonna help you sleep better knowing that you wrecked my shit in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I'm like, go right ahead.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. I remember in the heyday of Guitar Hero, he did something similar to me where like I came over and he asked me to play Guitar Hero with him and I just like beat the living shit out of him at it. And then he was like his spirit was broken and he was like legitimately upset. And then like 2 weeks later I come back and I stepped down and I walk in his house and he's like, "All right, sit down, motherfucker. We're playing some Guitar Hero." And he'd been like practicing and training for like 2 weeks waiting for me to come back over. And then when I did, then he's just like, "All right, let me show you my skills."
Dude, I remember when Guitar Hero 3 came out, Brent and Derek, I think both stayed the night. They stayed the night at my house, and we were playing it like all fucking night. And I remember at one point, Derek like wanted to run to Circle K or something to get something to drink, and uh, he was like trying to beat Through the Fire and Flames on Expert, which was like the hottest shit like at the time. That's like the hardest song, and
Yeah.
he was trying so hard to like beat it on Expert and couldn't. And so when he left to go get drinks, I was like, "Dude, Brent, you want to fuck with Derek?" And he's like, "Okay." So we put in the cheat to where it's like you couldn't lose, and put Through the Fire and Flames on Expert, and I recorded Brent playing it on like my shitty like digital camera, but I was intentionally like filming him from behind and stuff so you couldn't see his fingers, and I kept kind of like panning real quick to the TV and like back to Brent so you couldn't see him like missing a bunch of notes, and like made him think that Brent somehow beat it on Expert. And so when Derek came back, I was like, "Dude, you missed it." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Dude, Brent beat Through the Fire and Flames on Expert." And like, I swear to God, like he like fucking drops like the bag, like he's like, "No fucking way." And I was like, "Dude, I recorded it." And I was showing him the recording, and he's like punching the couch like out of fury that like Brent did it before him, and like he like was just could not believe that Brent like did this, and he was so mad. Like he's like, "I was trying so hard, how?" And then we were like laughing, and I'm like, "Dude, you think fucking Brent can do this?" Like I'm like, "Dude, we were just fucking with you," and he was so upset.
Oh my god, it's like the things in life that are important to him. That
And
is so
I
great.
want, I want to say it was that same night too. I don't remember, but they stayed the night, and I think Derek fell asleep first, and
Typical.
I had like a like pack of multicolored Sharpies in my room for drawing and stuff. And so I like dotted half of Derek's face with the Sharpie, like the side that he wasn't laying on. I like dotted his like face, like just little dots all down from like forehead to the side of his face. And like me and Brent thought it was so funny, and then Brent fell asleep. So then I did the same fucking thing to Brent with a different color Sharpie when he was asleep. And then I went to bed, and in the morning we were sitting at the table eating breakfast, and it was me, Brent, Derek, and my dad, and we're sitting there, and fucking Brent is looking over at Derek eating his cereal, and he's like sitting there like chuckling to himself, looking at Derek. And then Derek's like sitting there staring at Brent, laughing. And then my dad's just fucking looking at me, and I'm just sitting there eating the cereal, looking at both of them. And Brent kept making all these like low key comments to Derek, like about something being on his face or whatever. And Derek was trying to do the same thing to Brent. And Brent's like, he's like, the joke is because you have shit you got shit all over the side of your face. And then Derek's like, what? And he's like, no, you have stuff all over your face. And Brent's like, no, I don't. And then he went and looked in the bathroom, and he's like, Justin, you fucking draw all over my face. And then they both realized that, like, I duped them both.
And then you never let either of them spend the night again so they wouldn't get retribution on you.
Yeah, and then when Brent stayed the night one time, I took a dick pic on his phone and, like, sent it to, like, 12 people in, like, a giant group chat. And I thought one of the contacts was Adam, and I thought it was Bacon, but it turned out to be Adam, his cousin. And he was like, who the fuck is this? And luckily, I guess he didn't have Brent's number saved, but Brent was so upset. And I also, like, when I went to the Verizon store one time, I put Brent's phone number in like a bunch of phones, and I was texting him from it, and I never took his phone number out. So I guess for like 3 days, people were just texting Brent until they like wiped his like number out of the tester phones.
That is hilarious. Oh my god, we're so terrible when we were young. My favorite thing when we were young, you would tell me that you would do with your friends is like you'd have this thing where you'd be at each other's houses, and then somebody would come out and be like, bro, I just jerked off in your bathroom.
Oh my. So that happened when I was over at Eric McGrew's house. He was Zach McGrew's younger brother. And I used to go over there, and we'd play Gears of War and Smash Brothers and shit all the time, and they had like a pretty dope setup in the garage. And one time I was like really fucking blitzed, and we were playing Smash Brothers, and I just like paused it, and I was like, yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. And so I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and it was like, Eric was like, dude, where have you been? He's like, it's been like 25 minutes. And all nonchalant, I was like, yeah, sorry, man, I jerked off in your bathroom. And he was sitting there, and he's like, what the fuck? He's like, dude, my mom uses that bathroom. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, he's like, you know what? Next time I come over to your house, I'm gonna jerk off in your bathroom. And I was like, okay, I don't give a shit. Like, so then he came over to the apartment one time and was in there for like 15 minutes, and then he comes out, like, and he's like, boom, jerked off in your bathroom. I was like, okay. Again, I don't care.
That's like, it was one of my favorite things, and then I stole it. Like, I'd go to friends' house and do the same thing after, because I loved it so much when he'd tell me those stories, so I'd go do the same thing. Like, I'd be gone for forever, and I'd be like, yeah, man, I was totally checking off in your mom's bathroom.
One of my other favorite stories from when I used to go over and hang out with Eric was one time me, Eric, and Daniel, who's the one who broke a beer bottle in my sink on my 20th birthday and gouged his wrist open.
But he was a scout, so it's okay. He just zipped himself up and fell asleep in the bathtub bleeding.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on, and Andrew, who was my roommate at the time, who was a fucking psychopath, decided he was going to be the DD for the party. So I was shit-faced, and I'm standing there talking to someone in the kitchen, and I see Daniel filling this like beer bottle up with water, and he had asked Andrew something, but I didn't hear like what he said, and he's filling this thing up with water, and I thought he was just like rinsing it out to put it in the recycling or something, and he fills it up, and I'm standing there while I'm talking to someone looking at what the fuck he's doing, and all of a sudden out of nowhere he karate chops his beer bottle, and it explodes in the sink, and then I just watch him like immediately grab his wrist, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? And he's sitting there, and I was like, why did you do that? And he's like, your roommate said I could. And I was like, Andrew, what the fuck, man? And he's like, dude, he just asked if he could break a beer bottle in the sink. And I said, sure. He's like, I didn't think he was going to karate chop it. And I was like, Why would you let him do that anyway?
I
Like,
know.
that's
Have
so...
you ever fished glass out of the inside of a sink? It sucks.
Yeah, I'm like, what part of that was okay to begin with? So then Andrew's like, let me see your wrist. And he's trying to pull Daniel's arm off of his fucking wrist. And he pulls it off, and his arm opens up, and it's just this, like, bloody vagina on his arm. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, dude, you're going to need stitches. And Daniel's like, no, I don't need stitches. And he's like, dude, that is deep as fuck. You need stitches. And he's like, nah, bro, it's cool. He's like, I'm an Eagle Scout. He's like, just get me some duct tape and some tissues. And Daniel fucking like wadded up a bunch of tissues and then just duct taped it closed. And then he had this like weird gooch scar on his wrist because it healed up all fucking stupid because he just duct taped it closed.
It was insane. Yeah, I remember that night, and I remember him like just like being a crazy person in the kitchen and being like, "Does anybody want to watch me karate chop a beer bottle in half?" I was like, "No, not here, no." But
But
it was fun. But I'm sorry, as you were.
no, it's cool. I was just like, but back to the initial story was in Eric's garage. It was me, Eric, and Daniel, and it was during the summer or whatever, and we were hanging out playing video games, and Daniel was like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "if I order pizza, do you guys like want to pitch in and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." So we ordered pizza, and in comes fucking Eric's brother Zach, who's like this fucking like weirdo, fucking lives. He like still lived at home with Eric and them, and he comes in, and he like wanted some of the pizza, and he was like, "Oh man," he's like, "Can I bum a piece of pizza?" And Daniel was like, "Sure, do you want to pitch in for it?" And he's like, "I don't want to pitch in for it. I just want a piece of pizza." And Eric was like, "Yeah," he's like, "You can have some or whatever if we have any left over." And Zach was like, "Oh, okay." So then he left, and Daniel took like this last pizza, shoves it down his pants, and like dragged his balls across it, and then threw it back in the box. And then when Zach came back in, Eric was like, "Yeah, man, there's one piece of pizza left." And then Zach took it and just scarfed it down, and we're like laughing the entire time. And Eric's like, "Dude, is that good?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "It's the best." And Daniel's like, "Yeah, I bet it is." And like we never told him that like Daniel rubbed his sweaty ass balls all over this pizza.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Good times, man. Good times.
Yeah. I was like, to be young and reckless again.
I'll take it. I'd go back to it.
uh,
Do you watch the show Ozark on Netflix?
I've heard nothing but good things. I think I watched like maybe like the first 10 minutes of it, but I never. I've heard nothing but good things. I never got into it
I
though.
started watching it recently in the little bit of time here and there that I get to watch shows, and it's very Breaking Bad esque, and it's pretty fantastic. Just one of the girls on it just won a supporting actress, so it reminded me that that's a really fucking good show, and you should watch it if you get a chance.
Yeah, I saw like the trailers for it and stuff, and I think like I said, I watched the first couple minutes, and like it looks like it's shot really cool, and it kind of has like almost like a blue kind of like filter
Yeah,
kind of thing to it and stuff.
yeah. The color shades are blue on there. It's a very, very dark show. Like the first episode, it just like blows your mind with how gory and crazy it is. Like it's just like
Oh man,
people are getting murked and thrown off buildings and shit, like left and right, and then it gets like real nuts.
sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Oh man, dude, I almost considered like asking like Brent to come on the podcast as a guest, but I didn't know if I wanted
He's
to
a
go down that
comedian, you
rabbit
know.
hole. Yeah. I was like, I don't know if I really want to go down that rabbit. I can't even tell you the last time I even talked to Brent,
Well, then it would be
but
90 minutes of him talking about himself.
dude, well, it's like the last time I even like really talked to him was when we had like that board game party, and all I did was ask him to bring fucking his Cards Against Humanity bigger blacker box or whatever.
Like, oh, you're
And then
using me for my games here. That's all
yeah,
I
he
am to you.
he gave me this huge fucking spiel about just using him for his shit, and I was like, I asked other people to bring board games and stuff since it is a board game party, and since you spent all this fucking money on getting all these sets of Cards Against Humanity. I just figured you might as well bring them. But I was like, dude, if you don't want to bring them, then don't. Like, I don't care. I just thought I would ask because that's like genuinely like what people usually around that time like wanted to play at parties was Cards Against Humanity. That was like the new hotness at the time.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's exactly it. But god damn you for wanting to add some more fun for everybody to a board game party.
Dude, I also made at like work the one day I made the stuff to make nachos and I like was making them in the break room and someone was like, "Oh, what are you making?" And I was like, "Cheese
The
chips."
chips, yes.
Yep. And they were like, "What?" They're like, "You mean nachos?" So I literally had to sit
You
there
had
and
to give him the
explain.
whole spiel.
Yeah, I told them the story of when Megan's little brother burned our house down. We were living with Brent for a couple weeks while we were getting our shit together and like trying to move into this apartment. And we were staying the night at Brent's. And one night Brent's like, "Hey, you want some cheese chips?" And initially I was like, "No." But I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Those actually sound kind of good." I was like, "I'll take some." And he's like, "Cool." He's like, "They've been passed down from Puccio male to Puccio male for generations or whatever." So I was like, "All right, cool. Like they sound good, I guess." Like so I was not really like hyped, but I was kind of like intrigued by it. So I'm like, "All right, I'll try it." So we're like sitting there like and like maybe I don't know, 4 minutes come by, and Brent's like, "Oh yeah, they're ready," and I was like, "Wow, like that was really fast." Like I was surprised, and he brings out this fucking styrofoam plate with like 15 tortilla chips on it and a bunch of like melted shredded cheese, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And he's like, "It's cheese chips." And I was like sitting there looking at him in like disbelief. I'm like, "You mean nachos?" And he's like, "Well, I call them cheese chips." And I was like, "You really like set this up like it was some grand thing, and it's literally like not even oven nachos, like it's microwave fucking nachos." And I was like, "Wow, I can't believe
What were you
I
expecting? Like, what did you think he was gonna do? Like, slice up potatoes and then like bake them in cheese or something? Or like,
I don't even know what I was expecting, but it definitely wasn't that.
it's funny. Yeah,
Like
I
I
still
guess
to this day use the expression cheese chips, and my wife has even accepted because I've told her that story, and then she's like, we both always call them cheese chips. It's like,
like in my head, I guess I kind of pictured it like I don't even know why, but in my head I pictured it like the I've never actually had them, but from like Burger King, those fucking like macaroni and cheese bites where it's like the triangle that's like breaded with like cheese in the middle. I don't know why, but I kind of pictured it like that where it's like a chip with like cheese like around it and then it like in something or something like that. I have no idea, but it definitely wasn't nuked like fucking shredded cheese on a styrofoam plate in a microwave for 30 seconds.
my mind was blown last week. I saw that like Pizza Hut's doing some Cheez It pizza thing. And I was like, this is obviously like fake, right? And then it's not. I looked it up and they're like selling these like four like mini calzone type things. They're like they look like a Cheez It. It's like a Cheez It that like is the size of your hand. And there's four of them in a box. And they look like Cheez Its. And apparently they have the taste of Cheez Its on the crust or whatever, and you can like dip them in marinara sauce or something. But it sounds very odd. But I know a couple of people who work at a Pizza Hut, and I asked them if it was worth trying. They said definitely not.
Dude, I remember when I was living at the apartment with Matt and Chris, one day after school, like this kid Gavin and like Richard and shit came over, and we got super baked and fucking a commercial came on for Pizza Hut and they like introduced their where the crust was like the little mozzarella ball fucking things that
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
just
yeah.
rip off. And we were like sitting there and I was like, "Oh my god, that sounds so good right now." And Matt was like, "Dude, if somebody calls, I'll buy." And Gavin was like, "I'll call." So we literally ordered it, and then on MTV there was like a 4-hour marathon of Bully Beatdown. So we just ate this like fucking ultra cheesy Pizza Hut pizza and watched Bully Beatdown for like hours.
Sounds like a hell of a Friday night.
Dude.
My mom just texted me and said, "Hey, your little guy on Game of Thrones won." I assume she's referring to Peter Dinklage winning an Emmy.
Ooh, I don't know. It could be Jon Snow.
Yeah, I don't know how or why, but who knows?
Dude, did you watch the documentary thing for
Dude,
Game of
that
Thrones?
sucks, man. I completely forgot about that. Like, I started it and I never went back and finished. I'd like to watch it. I'm sure it's good.
Yeah, it was really good. It was like crazy too because like a lot of I mean, you see Jon Snow and like whatever her name is, Amelia Clark, is that her name?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Daenerys and stuff. Like you see like a lot of the main stars like in it, but like the people they actually talk to, like I thought that was really cool was one of the dudes who you pretty much talk to throughout the entire documentary was since season 1, he was a soldier for the Starks, and it's like he was a soldier throughout the entire series for the Starks. And it's like you'd see they showed clips of him just like here and there and stuff throughout the seasons at the different battles and stuff he was in. And I guess like every season or whatever, if you were like a part of one of the wars or like whatever, like he got a jacket that had like the Stark crest and stuff on the back, and it was like the Stark Army and stuff like season 1. So it's like he has like a season jacket for like every season, and like there was like people for like the like battle of like the bastards and stuff like on Ramsay's army and stuff. They had the flayed man jacket and stuff, and
Right.
it was like pretty cool like seeing these people just kind of like who weren't minor characters kind of talk about their experience being on the show.
As soon as you started talking about it, I realized that I did actually watch that because yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it was very cool. And that guy went back like every year, and it was like his life. Like he just loved being an extra on that show.
Yeah, and they like knew who he was, and then at the end they showed him like they started doing like little bus tours and stuff, and he was actually like one of the people kind of talking about shit on the bus tour and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of cool that even after the show ended, he was still got to talk about the show and like do shit about the show. So that was really neat.
Now he's set for life. Now he can just show people around and be that can be his job. He's like, oh, this is where we shot this in Dublin.
Yeah, dude, I know I really want to do like the Game of Thrones tour, and like I know Megan really wants to go to uh where the fuck is it? Wherever Lord of the Rings was filmed.
It's in New Zealand.
Yes, New Zealand. That's it. Yeah, she really wants to go do that since she's a huge Lord of the Rings fan and stuff. And I still want to go do what you did with the Harry Potter tour in London.
Yeah, highly recommend. It's very cool. Don't be a bitch and cry like me though when you start it.
I can guarantee that's not going to happen.
That's good. Yeah, it's funny too. I remember like the very last, or maybe second to last, like Harry Potter film premiere, and then you showed up, and you were like asking the whole time, like, "What's going on?" Like you were like having your mom like explain to you while we were watching it. Like, all right, I didn't watch the last like three. Like, tell me what's happening.
Dude, I also saw fucking Daniel Radcliffe's new movie is actually coming out soon. The one where he has his guns for
Oh
hands.
yeah, yeah, the meme with the fucking bear claw feet and the guns in his hands, looking all crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe like because I looked it up a while ago because I see that picture all the time, and I was like, dude, what movie is this? And then I realized that movie was announced like years ago, and it
Hmm.
still hasn't come out. And I was like, and now it's finally coming out. I was like, Jesus Christ, like that was like a long time between like announcing it and it now like just that's still not out even
Yeah.
yet. And I'm
That
just like,
typically means
holy
it's really
cow.
bad when it gets shelved like that. Um, but we'll see. I think Daniel Radcliffe's made some pretty interesting indies since he stopped being Harry Potter. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
I liked Horns and
Horns is
stuff. Like I thought
decent.
that was interesting.
Did you ever see Swiss Army Man?
No, I hear that's really good, and I still haven't
It's
seen that one.
bonkers, but I ride or die for that shit. So yeah, it's very, very, very weird, but it's worth the watch for sure.
Dude, yeah, I know it's on Netflix, and I keep meaning to check it out. I just haven't.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the stranger films I've ever seen.
Oh man, do you have since we're gonna about wrap it up, do you have anything you wanna anything for the audience,
Like to plug? Uh,
or just I guess anything, or
no, not really. Like my life's been really boring right now, but I'm hoping in a few weeks when I'm done with school, like I can start like going ham, working on that podcast I talked about last time, and of course, I'll be hitting you up to be a part of that. So I'm looking
good.
forward to starting to work on projects again pretty hard. So that'll be fun, and then I guess I'm going to be helping Matt and Jess with their game, like filming some stuff for like a how-to video on how to play and stuff. So that should be fun. See what
I was like, yeah,
happens.
I just went over there today and was playing some of the new decks and stuff for their game, which Matt was talking about on his episode, which was like 4. And yeah, he was bringing up that you were gonna help do the tutorial video and stuff for them, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it should be a good time. So yeah, lots of stuff coming down the pipeline. I have nothing to plug right now.
I actually I put in my last day at work is this Friday.
Really?
So yeah, I put in my 2 weeks uh, earlier. Well, if this is I put in it last week, I guess. Like, because I put last Friday, I put in my 2 weeks.
Do you have anything
So,
lined up, or are you just trying to get the H out of there?
well, no, I have another job that I'm starting on the 30th, which it's basically kind of doing what I'm doing now, just
Oh,
at a
okay.
different
Is it
company.
gonna like change your schedule at all, or is it pretty much gonna be the same?
So right now I work 8 to 5, so I'm gonna be working 7 to 4, which me and Megan carpool, but she changed her schedule, so she's also gonna be working 7 to 4.
If you
So we're
carpool, is that gonna be an issue now, or is your new job like in the same area?
yeah, it's like literally 6 minutes away from where I work now.
Oh, cool.
So it's like a street over.
So
It's
are
like
you just gonna
Scottsdale
have
and
to
Greenway.
like? Oh, you said she changed her schedule. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so she's just gonna drop me off at work in the morning and then go to work and then just pick me up and then we'll just go home.
Well, that works out pretty well. Congrats on getting a new jobby. I'm sure
Yeah,
that'll
thank
be a
you.
good experience.
Yeah, I quit because I'm like a mortgage coordinator and I wanted the closer position. Like we have positions open for it and it was pissing me off because for months I've been wanting this job and like they've kind of just been putting me through the ringer for it, being like, "Oh yeah, well we need to see it." And it's like I do my job and I do my job well and I fucking bust my ass and it's like and I prove it. They saw it like that I did it and they were like, "Okay, yeah, you need to put in for it whatever." Like, we've had a lot of success promoting people from within and stuff like that. So, yeah, it should be like a nice transition, like blah blah blah. But then I would hear nothing on it, and then they hired outside people to do it,
Of
and
course.
then yeah, and so they're like sitting here telling me like, oh yeah, like we can't afford to lose you right now in your position to then promote you. So we would need to hire more people for your position for you to train, so then we can move you up. But they weren't hiring those people, and
Yeah,
instead we're hiring people for the position I wanted,
that's bullshit.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and after they announced like a second person that they were like hiring from the outside as a closer instead of promoting me from within, I was just like done. I was like, no.
Yeah, good call,
So
man. Yeah, I've been in
yeah,
the same position like for a while here too. But sometimes you got to write it out, and sometimes you just gotta, put them in their place. And I think you did the right thing there. It's a good call.
yeah. So that was my thing. Was it's like I know my worth, and I was like, I bust my ass, and if you're not gonna, like, if you won't sit there and put me where I want to be, then I'll find someone that will.
Exactly.
So
Hell yeah,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck you. And what's cool is my manager is gonna be my manager who was my old manager at my current job and they like kind of fucked her out of her position and stuff, so it's gonna be cool working with her again
Yeah,
since I
well, that
really
works
like
out
her.
well.
So
Oh shit, yeah, man. I'm looking forward to being on the pod again in the near future, and I'm looking forward to having you on mine whenever I get that up and rolling in the next month or so.
yeah, I know I really want to watch, I don't know, Constantine or some, dude, it's also been a long time since I've seen fucking I used to watch Grandma's Boy religiously.
Yeah, that could be a fun one to revisit to see how it plays these days.
Right.
I think either of those would be a good choice, but we'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll have lots of good ideas on the table.
Dude, for sure. And I think that's everything I got. I know. Oh, that's right. I do have one more thing. As of now, I did for last week. I did a poll for weirdest drink between favorite or yeah, fuck. I'm gonna have to censor that out since apparently he's weird about not wanting his real name announced, so that'll get bleeped. But his drink of choice, the milk with ice, and Matt's weird drink of choice, which is the Coca-Cola with chocolate syrup. And by a landslide, people voted that the Coca-Cola with chocolate syrup was the weirder of the two.
I definitely voted for that one.
Yeah, so did I. So I think next week I'm gonna try. I want to do a actual video where I'm going to do like a taste test review of both of them. Even though I know it's been years since it's been at least like 7 years or so since I've had the Coke with chocolate syrup in it.
I've never had that combo. When I was a kid, I was weird and sometimes I'd drink milk with ice, but
I've done milk with my mom to get me to drink milk. Would do milk and then splash a little Coca-Cola in the milk.
I'm terrified of what you just said to me.
Yeah, no, like that's what's weird. It's like, so yeah, to drink my milk, which I guess that in itself is a weird fucking drink combination. She would like dump a little bit of Coca-Cola in the milk, and so it was like this milk with like a tinge of Coke flavor.
So what you should do is taste test Matt, and we'll say, well, dang it's drink of choice, and then you introduce your childhood drink there, and then see what's the best of the three. And you'll already have the 2 ingredients for your drink with the other 2. So.
Exactly. So my thing is, I need to see, because I was gonna buy chocolate syrup at the store to do it, and I was like, dude, I really don't want to pay $2.50 for a fucking bottle of chocolate syrup just to do this like one video. So I think my parents might have chocolate syrup and like a can of Coke floating around. So I'm just gonna like steal it from their house so I don't have to buy the ingredients because it's not worth it to me to like spend $5 to fucking make something that I know is gonna be pretty gross.
True that. Smart thinking. I'm looking forward to watching it.
But yeah, and I think that's actually it now. So that's gonna wrap up episode 8. I want to thank, since I don't think I've done it up until this point, but everyone who's been listening to the different videos and like sharing it and listening to it. I have couple listens on like Spotify and Apple Music, and usually get like about almost 20 like views and stuff per video on like the YouTube and stuff, and like that's really cool. So I appreciate everyone that likes it and shares, and I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. So yeah, so that's a lot of fun. And with that, that'll be the episode, my friends.